Good afternoon. First off, a bit of an update. The Game Boy Mega Machine has got a few more knobs, and there's going to be quite a few more knobs on it by the end of the month. It's going to be quite a big update on that thing. It's finally starting to look like it's going to be pretty much full up, and I reckon by Christmas it'll all be up and running. But anyway, and it's able to be played on at the museum, and people have played on it. I put a little bit of a notice on it because it's always a little bit of a nightmare to keep going because it is very complicated. So there's a couple of knobs with yellow tape on it saying these are the best ones to twist. Twist those and you'll have a nice time. Also, the plan for the master pitch on the killer drone, well, that's changed up a bit. Initially I was going to use this chunky rheostat of Nervous Squirrels, but the problem is when I was testing it, it just took ages to get up to the climax. So I'm reserving that to use for something else, as I've already got the box for it. That wasn't super cheap for that box, so we're figuring out a plan for that. But now we're going to use this nice big chunky variac knob to control it. And what this variac knob does is it actually injects into the killer drone negative voltage, which means that you're able to bring the notes down and then bring it back up to a crescendo. But it's just a much better and more kind of direct kind of relationship to twisting this really big chunky knob thing. But that isn't 100% wired in yet because there's a couple of parts I'm waiting for. I need to clean up that big old chunky variac because yeah, it's probably not safe. We'll have a look on the inside of that pretty soon, and we're gonna check it's you know, it's not gonna zap anybody. We've got to double check that anyway. But today's video is about these beautiful things. They are Northern Electric broadcast sets, and just look how beautiful and clean and nice they are. Amazingly enough, these were rescued from a bin in Canada by a fellow called Christian. Very nice guy. He messed around with them for a couple of months, and then you know, after that they were sitting around and decided to say, Sam, would you be interested in using these in the museum? And I was like, yes, they look incredibly interesting. I'm sure people will like them, and thank you very much, Christian, because they're fabulous. By the way, Christian builds Cosmo modular sims, so we've struck up a deal. I'm sending him something back that hopefully I think he'll find of interest. So it's a nice straight swap, and I think yeah, I think both sides will be pretty happy. And yeah, there's a few interesting things on them, so we'll take a look. So these two sets are designed to be directly wired together through great distances. You could just make a private line between this and this, so you can have confidential chats, be it between, I don't know, like Christian mentions that news reporters would have probably used these, one at the place that they were talking, and you know, between two different buildings or something like that, where you need a private confidential line that are directly wired together. So these will be wired together, and that's their only purpose. This one to talk to this one, and this one to talk to this one. And that's what they're going to be used for in the museum. Amazingly enough, the kids, they don't seem to go and make silly noises on the simps. They always just run around trying to use all the different phones. So I have a feeling these are going to go down pretty well because they're just a different type of era. I have a 1920s intercom. This is a similar kind of setup, but from the 70s. So they'll be used more like an intercom in a way around the building instead of like a private line. But you know, an intercom, private line, it's just a matter of distance. So right now, these are directly wired at the back. If I press the signal button here, well, this one's going to start ringing. Yeah, and then this one's going to start ringing if I use this one. It's got a really nice bell to it. It's not really loud. It's quite, it sounds pretty nice. And put them together. You can't do them at the same time, of course. And you can turn off the bell, so it's only the signal. And there are means to wire in external signals and bells. I haven't 100% figured that out, but if I do, there'll be another video on that. So if you're ringing this, if you pick it up, well, it's gone, but you can still hear. If you listen, you can still hear the pulsing from the buzzing circuit, well, through the phone. Which is to be expected. Currently it's a 2-wire setup and I'm using crocodile clips. We'll just undo these, but you can have it as a 4-wire setup, and there is a switch on the inside which means you can adjust between the two settings. For the first few days of these being used at the museum, they'll probably be sat on a desk opposite each other. For instance, tomorrow I'm going to have these on the desk in the front of the killer drone, so yeah, people and kids and stuff can have a chat across the table. Keep it simple and then we'll figure it out a little bit more. So they are battery powered. If we have a look on the inside, I've plopped in, well, the battery battery compartment, amazingly, is actually quite clean. So the idea being that the batteries are probably replaced on these kind of things before and after every sort of broadcast, if it's in a media kind of outlet kind of thing. So, you know, as to not risk them running out of batteries halfway through. So that would have probably meant that, you know, these things were quite clean. So I'll have to keep an eye on the batteries and stuff, but these will do until the last open day, which is at the end of this month. So yeah, they'll be all right for now. There's a switch in the middle where you can select between the 2-wire setup, which is just the RX wires, and then RX and TX, you can have those going. And then on this side, I'm not sure whether you can see it. We'll move it a little bit. You can see there is the bell circuit. There's the capacitor for the bell, and there's the transformer, because they are really in nice working order. And, you know, sometimes when you take things apart, you end up breaking them. So there's no point taking it apart unless it's completely fudged. Which in this instance, they're in really nice order, amazingly, for being thrown out. Who would throw these out? The battery compartment goes in quite easily and nice. That it just flips over the top, it clips in place, and these like bolt into there. And then a nice spring screw, so it's really quick and easy. And, oh, kablammy, look at that. But there is something on here we haven't talked about yet that is actually quite an interesting thing. It's quite a hidden gem in these things, and that is the signal over here. It's not your normal signal lamp. So if you look there, it does look a bit weird. Especially when the bells are on, you can see it actually pulsating. Look at that. They actually turn out to be really fancy, nice little neon bulbs in here. So let's have a closer look. So if you can see, there's 2 bits of the element, and when we turn it on, there's a lovely, lovely neon glow over it. And if we turn off the bell, you can see it. Let's get a slow-mo of that. So if this is anything like a normal phone line, that would be AC running through that for the bell. And yeah, it looks really nice, but I wasn't expecting them to be neon lamps. These are similar to the old school flame lamps, you know, when they pretended to be little flickery fires of doom. Looks like an evil eye from Lord of the Rings or something. Get a slow-mo of it with the lens on, why not? My camera can only go down to 180 frames per second, but you know, you get the idea, you get the idea. So these things also used to have fronts on. They don't have them anymore, they're long gone. But you know, these things were sat in the to be thrown out pile, which I find incredible. Thanks a lot, Christian, and I hope you enjoy what I'm sending you back for, you know, in return for this. They're really cool, and if you're coming to the museum tomorrow, well, these will be wired in over near the killer drone, so you know, you can have a chat over them if you really want. Anyway, that's it for these little gems. If you have any more information on these things, if you've used these before, it would be cool to add them to the description. These are really bulky, kind of chunky ones, and as you can see, there's even, if you look really closely, you could see that how a bit of what, some weird oil or black stuff has actually managed to get into the mold of this top bit. You can see how it's kind of moved over, so something went a bit funky in the manufacturing, but it doesn't get away from the charm. In fact, it adds to it. So the museum's open every Sunday in October, except for the last one. That'll be the end for this season, and then it's getting a massive rearrange, and it will be open again for next season in Easter. So if you want to see it in its current kind of orientation and setup, come before the end of October. If not, then yeah, it's going to be all pulled out, like it'll look quite a bit different. So keep an eye out for some information. If you want to support these videos as well as the museum, oh my god, I nearly lost you, then go and check out over on Patreon, because it makes this kind of place possible for people to come and play on these kind of things. So go and check it out over there. There's other, you know, content and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm Sam. This museum's not obsolete. These are very nice, and have a lovely time.